For 37 years, the official position was clear. Caffeine in sport was a problem to be managed, not a tool to be taught. The IOC measured it, WADA monitored it, and the research showing exactly how to use it precisely, legally, lethally, sat untouched inside their own doping files. Someone decided athletes weren't supposed to have it. Here's what the records were rewritten to hide. The year is 1984, Los Angeles, the first Olympics where caffeine triggers a doping violation. Athletes receive one instruction: stay under the threshold. 12 micrograms per milliliter of urine. Cross that line and you're flagged, possibly banned. What nobody tells them is what the sports medicine researchers already know. Caffeine works, not in a vague, helps-you-focus way, in a measurable, time-your-dose-to-the-minute way. Military laboratories knew this since the 1950s. U.S. Army researchers had published performance protocols, exact milligrams, exact timing windows, exact abstinence periods. That research existed. It just never made it to the track, the pool, or the starting block. Here's the first thing they got wrong. The threshold was set at 12 micrograms. Medical commissions presented it as a safety line, the point at which caffeine becomes a performance drug. But performance gains don't begin at 12 micrograms. They begin far below it. The IOC knew this. Their own testing data accumulated across years of Olympic competition showed a clear pattern. Athletes finishing at the top of their events came in consistently below the limit, not above it. They weren't doping. They were dosing. The athletes who understood that weren't guessing. They had coaches, national federation coaches, military-connected coaches, sports scientists embedded in state programs who had read the research. 6 milligrams per kilogram of body weight. 60 minutes before competition. 4 to 7 days of complete abstinence beforehand to reset receptor sensitivity. This protocol existed in writing. In 1984, while athletes were told only what not to do. The simple explanation is that nobody shared the research, but that doesn't hold. The researchers who built the prohibited threshold sat on the same committees as the coaches who received state funding. The IOC Medical Commission published its own journal. The U.S. Olympic Committee had sports scientists on staff. The pathway for that information to reach athletes was already built. And yet in survey after survey of Olympic athletes from the 1980s and 1990s, the same answer comes back. They knew caffeine had a limit. They did not know it had a protocol. The information existed. The channel existed. Someone chose what to send through it. But that's not the part they buried. Here's what they actually covered up. In 1992, researcher Terry Graham at the University of Guelph published findings that should have rewritten how every athlete understood caffeine. Not as a stimulant to be feared. As a metabolic tool with a precise operating window. His data showed something the doping files had hinted at for years. The benefit isn't in the caffeine. It's in the timing, the abstinence, and the reset. Habitual coffee drinkers get almost nothing from pre-race caffeine. Their receptors are saturated. The performance boost, the 3 to 5% output increase that separates a podium finish from fourth place, only activates in athletes who have been completely caffeine-free for at least 4 days. 4 days, that finding was in the published literature. The federations received the literature. The IOC monitoring program was cross-referencing caffeine concentrations against performance outcomes in real time. They were building exactly the dataset that would have confirmed it at Olympic scale. That dataset was never published as athlete guidance. 37 years after the threshold was set, athletes were still being told the limit, not the protocol, not the abstinence window, not the 4 days. Not the 6 milligrams per kilogram of body weight. The athletes who knew, they learned it from someone who wasn't supposed to tell them. Think about what that costs. 3 to 5% in an Olympic final is not a footnote. It is the difference between a name on the podium and a name nobody remembers. Athletes trained for years on incomplete information, while the complete picture sat inside committee reports and journal articles that never made it into a coaching manual. When WADA removed caffeine from the banned list in January 2004, they didn't release the protocol. They announced the removal. No athlete education initiative, no research summary, no guidance on dosing, timing, or the abstinence window. They kept the monitoring program running, still tracking caffeine levels in competition samples today, still building data on who uses it when and at what dose. Still sitting on 2 decades of performance outcomes linked to documented caffeine use in elite sport. The information asymmetry didn't end in 2004. It just changed shape. The monitoring data collected since 2004 covers 20 years of elite competition. Dose, timing, abstinence patterns, performance results, all linked. All sitting inside WADA's sample analysis database. It has never been published as an athlete education resource. You have to wonder who benefits from keeping the protocol locked inside the files instead of on the track.